This video is a little different than my usual recipe videos, and that's because it's Women's History Month. I'll be putting out a few videos this month to honor and celebrate important women throughout history. As always, I've put the full recipe for today's video in the description below. Today's treat is dedicated to a woman who, while her life was full of drama and intrigue, would probably prefer she be remembered for her politics. However, instead she is known for her many portraits, self-portraits, and works inspired by the nature and artifacts of Mexico. Frida Kahlo. Frida was born July 6, 1907, and although she was actually disabled by polio as a child, she still went to medical school and was considered a promising medical student until she was about 18 years old, when she was injured in a bus accident which caused lifelong pain and medical problems. She could not leave her bed for 3 months after the accident, so she painted. Her interests in both politics and art were a catalyst to her joining the Mexican Communist Party in 1927. This is how she met Diego Rivera, and we cannot really tell Frida's story without including Diego. He was a fellow Mexican artist, 21 years older than Frida, who already had 2 common law wives at the time. Frida and Diego were married in 1929. Frida's mother opposed the marriage, but her father approved it because Diego's wealth meant he was able to support Frida as she could not work and needed expensive medical treatments. After the marriage, Frida spent the late 1920s and early 30s traveling Mexico and the US with Diego. In 1932, the couple moved to Detroit for a year. This was a particularly difficult time for Frida. While she had enjoyed seeing San Francisco and New York City, she did not like aspects of American society, which she regarded as colonialist, nor did she like most Americans, whom she found boring. She did not like having to socialize with capitalists, and was angered that many hotels in Detroit at the time refused to accept Jewish guests. This is a direct quote from Frida. "A bit of rage against all the rich guys here, since I have seen thousands of people in the most terrible misery, without anything to eat and with no place to sleep. That is what has impressed me here. It is terrifying to see the rich having parties day and night, while thousands and thousands of people are dying of hunger." While none of her works were featured during this time in Detroit, she was interviewed by the Detroit News, who so condescendingly titled their article, "Wife of the Master Mural Painter Gleefully Dabbles in Works of Art." Can you imagine anyone saying that about Frida freaking Kahlo today? As if that weren't enough, Frida also experienced a miscarriage that July, which caused a serious hemorrhage that required 2 weeks of hospitalization. And less than 3 months later, her mother passed away in Mexico from surgical complications. The couple returned to Mexico in December 1933, and while Frida was handling an appendectomy, 2 abortions, and the amputation of multiple toes, Diego was not happy to be back in Mexico and blamed Frida for his return. Although he already had a history of unfaithfulness, he now began an affair with Frida's younger sister, Cristina, which obviously was deeply hurtful to Frida. When Frida discovered the affair in early 1935, she moved out of their home into an apartment in central Mexico City and had an affair of her own with American artist Isamu Noguchi. Diego and Frida did eventually reconcile, but continued with ongoing mutual infidelities. One of Kahlo's affairs was with the Soviet leader Leon Trotsky himself, after she had gotten back into politics and, along with Diego, successfully petitioned the Mexican government to grant him and his wife asylum, and hosted them in her and Diego's own home. In 1938, Frida had her first solo art exhibition at the Julian Levy Gallery in New York. Even though this was during the Great Depression, This was a successful exhibition for Frida. She sold half of over 20 paintings she presented. This exhibition was followed by another in 1939 in Paris. The Parisian exhibition was less successful, a loss financially. However, it was from this exhibition the Louvre made Frida Kahlo the first Mexican artist to be featured in their collection. They purchased her painting known as The Frame. Also in 1939, Diego requested a divorce from Frida, stating publicly that it was merely a matter of legal convenience. In the style of modern times, there are no sentimental, artistic, or economic reasons. But according to her friends, it was due to their mutual infidelities. Divorce was granted November 1939, but the pair remained friendly, with Frida continuing to even manage Diego's finances and correspondence. Following their separation, Frida was determined to earn her own living and began another productive period as an artist, moving to large canvases at this time, as the canvases were easier to exhibit. She participated in 3 exhibitions in 1940. The 4th International Surrealist Exhibition in Mexico City, Golden Gate International Exposition in San Francisco, and 20 Centuries of Mexican Art in the Museum of Modern Art in New York. A little more drama. If you paid attention in your world history class, you may know that Trotsky was assassinated August 21st, 1940. But did you know that Frida Kahlo was a suspected accomplice? It was said she knew the murderer, and Frida and her sister Christina were even arrested and held for 2 days regarding this. The next month, Frida traveled to San Francisco for medical treatment. Diego was already there at the same time, as he had fled Mexico City following Trotsky's murder. The two remarried in a civil ceremony on December 8, 1940, and returned to Mexico soon after their wedding. Frida struggled to make a living from her art until the mid to late 1940s, as she refused to adapt her style to suit her clients' wishes, particularly when her client was the Mexican government. Throughout this decade, however, her productivity flourished as her health declined. She exhibited her art throughout the U.S. and Mexico, worked as an art teacher, and even was a founding member of the Seminario de Cultura Mexicana. Her final exhibition was held in Mexico in 1953. At this time, her health was so poor that her doctors had prescribed bed rest, and so it was presumed that she would not attend the opening. But she ordered her 4-postered bed to be moved from her home to the gallery, arrived by ambulance, and was carried on a stretcher to that bed, where she stayed for the duration of the party. Frida spent most of her final days bedridden, although she made a final public appearance July 2nd, 1954, to participate in a demonstration against the CIA invasion of Guatemala. It appears she anticipated her death, as she spoke about it to visitors and drew skeletons and angels in her diary. The last drawing was a black angel, accompanied by the last words she ever wrote. "I joyfully await the exit, and I hope never to return. Frida." It is said that the demonstration worsened her illness, and by the night of July 12, 1954, she had a high fever and was in extreme pain. Her nurse found Frida's body the next morning, around 6 a.m., in bed. She had passed away at the young age of 47. No autopsy was ever performed, and, as such, there is speculation around her cause of death. There is so much more to her story than I can fit in a video here, and I encourage you to take a few minutes of your day to learn a little more about this outstanding person. What can be known for sure is that Frida Kahlo was revolutionary. For the Mexican bisexual political chronic pain surviving overcomer of polio, force of nature, created a legacy through her art and personal expression while continuing to advocate for what she believed to be right. I think we can all learn a lot from that. If there's someone you would like me to dedicate a dessert to, please comment their name below. I hope you learned something today, and if you got something valuable from this, that you'll subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.